Hello, welcome to the World F3 Championship live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Tyler Vickery, and Sam Kumo is on the cameras this evening, and we're here at Silverstone for round 2 of this championship. And Tyler, what a round 1 we saw at Spa. Two of the best races I think we've ever seen on Apex Racing TV. Kept us guessing all the way, and really established what I think is going to be an unbelievably competitive championship.
Yeah, I can agree with that. That was some wild racing, especially with the huge battle they had for, I believe it was second and third, and did not expect that. But boy, seeing how both of those races are turned out, I'm going to be really excited to see how this goes.
Yeah, definitely. After those opening 2 races at Spa, Kevin Ellis has got a lead in the championship, about 21 points ahead of Pete Bayman, who did win a race. Ellis finished second in both races. Bayman had an issue in race 2 though. Marco Mogren is in 3rd, Alex Simpson in 4th, and Danny Henney in 5th place. One of the aspects of that first race, Tyler, was the fact that I think Ellis was the only driver to finish in the top 6 in both races, and I said right at the start of that broadcast, you know, if they can get 2 top 5, that's a good day in the books. And it kind of shows with those points already this season how important that consistency is going to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you can see on the screen right now, with Kevin Ellis, I mean, 21-point difference, and that's just playing it safe, being able to get as pretty much maximize as many points as he could with both of those top 5 finishes he had. And I mean, that shows something. I mean, also in there is Peter Berryman and Alex Simpson, a few other great drivers in there as well, and it just shows that even with one bad race, you can come back. But yet, if you can be able to be really consistent and finish in the top 5, you're going to be really golden for the long run.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure Ellis will be wanting to at least maintain that gap in this second race of the season, second meeting of the season, and if possible, extend it, because it's a decent length championship. I think 10 rounds this championship, so plenty more to go. Of course, in the teams championship, Apex Racing UK leading the way ahead of Radicals and Excite iRacing, very close as well. Fitzstone Motorsport in 4th, and of course we move on to this circuit. Tyler, it's a well, of course this circuit is very old school because it's 10 years old now, 10 years out of date. Of course, we are waiting for the new version. They did rescan it just last summer. They are almost certainly working on it right now. We're not quite sure when it should be available, but certainly in the next 6 months is realistic. But it's just high-speed corners, isn't it? A few low-speed corners at the end of the circuit. But there's it's quite unique in that aspect, and it hasn't got really any major easy overtaking spots.
Yeah, and especially with Silverstone, I mean, I've been running some practice sessions. As I'll explain a little bit, since I do a lot of F3 myself right now in the iRacing official series. This track is very high-speed corners. I mean, especially as you have the Senna. I usually always call them the Senna S's, especially when you have 3 or 4 left-right turns together. That's going to be in just that section alone is one of the quickest areas there is. You can practically go flat out the first 2. Sorry about that. You can practically go flat out the first two corners. Then you got to get off the brakes a little bit, and you can, if you get the setup just right, especially in the front end, you can really be able to maximize your turn and keep as much speed as you can, but also have a better exit speed coming out of those S's, and it's going to be a big make or break in that area alone.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the best sections of corners in the world of motorsport, undoubtedly up there with, you know, the Suzuka S's as well, along with a few other sections of other circuits around the world. 6 minutes into qualifying, and currently it's Pete Bayman on the pole position by half a second. He was so dominant in qualifying last time out. We saw a lot of slipstreaming last time, Tyler, but that may not be quite as effective around this circuit. You can see going onto this next straight, the Hangar Straight, you can get into the toe, but I think we're going to see slightly different racing where it is possible to pull away from your opponents.
Yeah, and definitely with this, I mean, setups are going to be real key. I mean, you want to have some enough downforce for the high speed corners, especially the S's. And there's a few other really fast, like the fast right-hander before you head into the little chicane where we're at now. That's going to be another key part. But you also at the same time also got to have that downforce in the rear, where the low downforce in the rear as well, to where you can be able to get that straight line speed. And especially there's a lot of long straightaways, so get ready to see a lot of different setups, as well as like how I explained even last week with how just the rear wings, you'll be able to tell who's running high wing setup and who's running a low wing. So it's going to be definitely another mixture of one of those again.
Yeah, it really does help us commentators, because we need all the help we can get to tell what is going on out there. Paul Ilbrink, he had a little bit of an underwhelming race last week. On the top driver, the former World Championship driver. I think he might still be, in fact. Would imagine he's going to be doing the GTE Championship next season. He's just put himself ahead of his teammate Marco Mogren, who we see right now, those two in 6th and 7th places. Mogren won race 2 at Spa. At least I believe, yeah, he did, in a very close finish with Kevin Ellis. Absolutely fantastic duel between those two. And it's quite interesting how, Mogren last time seemed to have a match for Ellis in the races. But in qualifying, these Radicals drivers just seem to be lacking that one lap speed, which is, quite unusual, especially for that team. I seem to remember managed to get a 1-2 one time in the World Championship Series.
Yeah, and especially with how he's been running as well. He's been really decent. Just really unfortunate luck from last week, with especially some of the big wrecks that were happening. And there was a few big names involved in those wrecks, especially in, I believe it was race number 2, where we had about 4, or actually no, I believe it was race 1 where we had about 5 or 6 cars get caught up in El Rouge. And that anytime there's a wreck at El Rouge, it's always ends up leading to mayhem.
Yeah, definitely, and shouldn't be quite those issues at this track. Cops, of course, if you go off the circuit, then you usually at least go off into the barriers rather than spinning back onto the track, which is Alsop racing for the Racing Network. Very impressive at Spa. A team now I don't think we've seen too much of in the past. TRN. I don't even know how to refer to them, as Richard Alsop just goes off the circuit. Of course, I'll be a 1x along with losing plenty of time. Will he come into the pits? Has he got enough fuel to do another lap? And yes, he will do another lap. Interesting that these drivers aren't trying to help each other out with the slipstream. I don't know if maybe Brandon and Foggy have been doing it so far, but so far I haven't seen anyone doing the switching, maybe showing the fact that it's not too much advantage. But I would have thought in such a close field they'd be trying to get every half-tenth that they can possibly gain.
Yeah, honestly, I would have thought the same thing, but I have a feeling everyone's probably trying to give each other room, just because with how some of these corners are, with how fast-paced they are. So they're probably giving themselves a little bit more room than necessary, but at the same time, it's definitely interesting to see them not trying to work together, like especially in other series, how there's teams that'll have each other close by and use the draft of each other to try to get themselves up the field. And seeing how it's completely different right now, it's definitely shocking to see the different strategies come into play.
Yeah, definitely, as we ride on board with Michael Evdotka, who was sizing up pretty well at Spa, but he had an incident in race 2 coming together. Otherwise, he could have well been in the top 3 in the championship as it stands. Probably not one of the drivers who's going to fight for the championship necessarily, but could maybe squeak through a race win. Maybe today will be his day. He's currently down in 20th position, so he's certainly going to have to improve on that if he's going to challenge whatsoever. As he just approaches the Abbey Chicane, the former Abbey Chicane. Of course, many drivers prefer this layout to the new layout. I guess it kind of incorporates the flow of this circuit slightly better. These corners, quite a wide circuit, this, and it's kind of tightening radius corners. But of course, it is still very popular amongst drivers. Of course, even when we get the new version of the circuit, this will still be very much available. Hopefully, it will be a free circuit for all those who sign up to iRacing. As Michael Abdoka for the Fitzpatrick Motorsport team approaches the line, and he improves to 14th place, goes ahead of his former teammate Johnny Brandon in 15th.
Looking at the times right now, it's top 5. Looks like we're gonna have some familiar faces again, and I believe, and this is kind of hilarious, and I believe right now the top 5 are qualifying exactly in the same spots as they were last week, which is kind of funny to be honest.
It's incredible. I must say, I don't want that to change now. I must say, I think Pete Bateman's probably got the safest position because he is still, well, he's nearly half a second clear in qualifying. That is mind-boggling. The Joe who got a third position in the 2016 British Grand Prix in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix series. One of his best results. You know, he lost out to Hutu and Kronke that day. So, you know, that was very impressive. He also got a podium at Circuit of the Americas. I'm mind-boggled how I can still remember that, as I didn't really pay much attention to that championship. But yeah, he's very good around this circuit, basically. I think Alex Simpson also likes this track, and Kevin Ellis as well. So it's an Apex Racing UK circuit, no doubt. And they're certainly establishing that, at least Peter Bayman is, as Paul Ilbink upsets the trend, goes up into 4th place. Well, that's very disappointing for all those OCD viewers.
And of course, Paul has to ruin it. Just of course, I have to always end up jinxing it too. Apparently.
That's a very impressive time actually from Milbrink, because he's currently 4 tenths faster than his teammate Marco Mogren, who was so impressive, of course, at Spa. Mogren nearly a second off pole positions. We just see Stuart McFadden, once nicknamed Stuart McFlashing, and well, hopefully we might. Well, yeah, of course, there's no lights on these cars, so he can't even do that as he goes off into the wall. Oh, not into the wall, sorry, onto the grass, and well, it may as well be in the wall because he towed straight back to the pits.
Yeah, it looks like he just used a little bit too much of the rumble strips, and around he went.
Yeah, of course, the curbs around here extremely low, and so it shouldn't play too much of a part for these drivers, but still got to be a little bit careful, certainly on the exits with the rumble strips, of course. And as we see, just running a little bit wide there was Nermella. As we go back to his teammate Richard Alsop, is he going to be close enough for a toe down straight? In fact, nowhere near close enough is Alsop. Just trying to get onto the front row, trying to knock his own teammate off the front row as this qualifying session heads into the last 30 minutes. This will be Alsop's last lap, of course.
Yeah, and looking at the times, it's like if Richard can get a very clean lap in here, and even just like 0.05 of a second quicker, he'll knock off Marco off the 2nd place spot. As I mean, it's just looking at the times for the top, for 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, just 0.05 of a second difference. So even just being a 1/10 of a second quicker will definitely make a big difference here in qualifying, as their time is up and all the final laps are coming in now.
Yeah, Alsop, this has seemingly been a pretty good lap for him already. Will it be good enough for a 2nd place on the grid? Nermella has set his time, or is he still going out there? I think he's gone back to the pit, so he needs to improve by 0.5 of a second, does Richard Alsop, as he comes round the final corner. It's a very good run for him. Through Woodcut he comes, middle of the circuit, doesn't want to go any further than he has to, and he doesn't improve. He was a 1/10, nearly 2/10 slower than his best lap. Very close amongst those drivers, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. As Paul Ilpink, well, he's trying not to be 4th. He would have been pretty happy, I think, with 4th going into this session. But a front row start is very possible for him right now, as he just executes the Abbey chicane now. Again, very tidy for him. He's one of the few drivers still out there. Nicholas Rasmussen also we've got to watch out for in the NRH Esports team. As Ilpink just goes into Luffields, I believe this one is. I ought to learn the corners. But I do know the last one is Woodcote, absolutely. And he's not going to pick up a 1x for Ilpink. Is this going to be good enough? He needs a low 36.1 if he's going to get it. And once again, just under a 10th of a second slower than his best time. Just got Nicholas Rasmussen, who's, I think, yeah, this isn't a valid lap. Benjamin Gregory also is not on a valid lap. These drivers just going to run the clock down until we advance to the grid. And what an interesting grid this is going to be once we get there. Of course, once again, we've got the team aspect of this race styling, with the Apex Racing UK drivers starting in 1st, 5th and 6th. Of course, last time we saw those drivers can't be 1st, 2nd and 3rd after the first corner, but you doubt that's going to happen this time again. It might just allow some opportunities for Nomella and Alsop to work together to try to take down Pete's Bain.
Yeah, and especially with now Paul Inbrink being in the mix, it'll be interesting for Kevin Ellis and Alex Simpson to try to get back up to help Peter Berryman. So it'll be very interesting between Apex Racing UK and the Racing Network, two teams that are two powerhouse teams, I should say, especially with how much might they showed from last season from last week as well.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, Radical's going to be very competitive as well. So another fantastic element to this series as we look at the grid. Peter Bayman on pole position by nearly half a second, as I said earlier on, ahead of Marco Nomella. Richard Alsop and Paul Ilbrink start on the 2nd row. Kevin S. Jr. and Alex Simpson start on the 3rd row. Nicholas Rasmussen and Marco Mogren on the 4th. That's a very competitive top 8. Christian Rose, it starts in 9th. I think World GT 2nd position. That's just how competitive it is, and he's down in 9th place. Mind-boggling. Danny Henney starts in 10th, there's Alex Johnson, Nicole Foggy, Stuart McFadden, Michael Abdoka, Johnny Brown, of course, BSRTC Winter Series 2nd place, and former leader, and he's down in 15th place. Absolutely incredible, the quality in this series. Then it's William Daniels, Ashley Beard, Matt Bunn, Miles Clositz, Benjamin Gregory, Ben Crino, Alex Dixon, Steve Lavelli, Paul Gosling, Richard Warmingham, and Josh Rayfield rounds out the top 26. And Thompson unusually didn't set a qualifying time, and neither did Thomas McDonnell. So issues for those drivers, and hopefully we see them on the grid later on, or in a few seconds time. It better be in a few seconds time, because they've got about 15 more seconds to grid up. Fortunately, they are on the grid. Paul Ilbrink, the last one to get on the grid, you can now see in that 4th position. He is ready, as are pretty much all the drivers, as the 2nd round of the championship gets underway at Silverstone. Peter Bayman with a really good start. Nomella in 2nd place already. Ellis is going through, and it's almost 3 wide, really tight amongst those drivers. But what a start that is for the championship leader, up into 3rd place. Richard Alsop down into 4th, as we just see running a little bit wide there was Ilbrink, I think, as Rasmussen trying to get involved side by side, the Maggots and Beckett. But Rasmussen just backs out, in fact losing position to Mogren there. So lots of changes of position. Also, Simpson's got ahead of Ilbrink. That brilliant 2nd row start for Ilbrink has kind of been undone. He's down into 6th place as the slipstream effect takes effect. As Peter Bayman having to go mega defensive against Nomella. Maybe this is Nomella's best chance to win this race, as the Finnish driver looks every which way to get the move done, but Bayman has it covered for now. Expect this one to be a race-on battle if these first few corners are anything to judge it by.
Yeah, and here's the other crazy thing is Josh Thompson, who started from the back of the field. Probably, I believe he got into the server late. Wasn't able to get a qualifying time. He's already up to 6 spots already. Started in 27th, and he's up to 21st. Looking on the inside already, trying to make some more moves and see if he can be able to work his way up, as he's looking on trying to get around Ben Craner in the Excite Racing livery car.
Yeah, Thompson will be frustrated undoubtedly, but I think he also quite enjoys these situations.
Ooh,
any driver of his quality does, as Ben Craner goes off the circuit there, dropping... Oh, sorry, that wasn't Craner, apologies. That was Gregory. Yeah, Bun. I think you might be right there, actually. As Thompson does move through, regardless, up into 19th place. 8 places gained for him on the opening lap. But after the opening lap, it's Peter Mayman leading the way ahead of Marco Nermella, Kevin Ellis, Richard Alsop,
Ooh,
as they all run wide, and now someone's off the circuit.
That's,
Michael Docker.
Yeah, looks like he went a little too wide coming into turn, going into one. If you run that spot a little too wide, if you get in that AstroTurf that they have there, the car gets really unsteady. I learned that hard way earlier today in practicing a little bit with these cars. And yeah, just went a little wide, hit the AstroTurf. Yep, see you, bye. There goes the car.
Yeah. There's no instant limit for this race, so they can run that all day long, and that's probably something that we're going to see plenty of throughout the day. As Clotesley, apologies, Clotesley, I think is how you pronounce that name. Apologies to Miles, as well, he makes a just loses out there, does Miles. So double whammy for him there. Then Craner just gets him past, because Thompson already passes just now. 11 positions. Absolutely charging his way through, could well be in the top 10 by the end of this race. Of course, half an hour long this first race, and then we'll have a bit of a break, a random reverse grid, and the second race will be also half an hour long, and Stanley Henny has an issue down into 14th place.
Now now right behind him is going to be Josh Thompson. Thompson's just flying up now, and saw Denny go off track, so this might be a good opportunity for Thompson to get another position.
Really close to second position, so Ellis and Nomella. Has Ellis got this one stuck? Yes, he has. So it's an Apex Racing UK 1-2. Bayman's already 2 seconds ahead. That's the pace he's got out there. Oh, and we've got a big crash, and it's Nicole Foggy, and we've got more cars off as well.
That's at least 3 cars. The
Lavelli as well.
Lavelli. I have a feeling it's happened again. Someone going wide and losing it. Yep. There goes Nico Foggy. Oh my, oh my. And then the netcode wipes out another driver. Don't know who it was though. There was a third driver involved. But we can definitely say Lavelli and Foggy are more than likely out.
I think it was Gregory getting involved in that one, the Pitside Motorsport driver. He's certainly very far down the order now, as Ilbrink losing out to... Oh, sorry, trying to make the move on Simpson. So as one Apex Racing UK driver moves through, another one falls back. Not a particularly good run of course there for Simpson, and he might get even worse. Goes under big pressure as we nearly go 3 wide. Finds a way through. And now Simpson has lost another position. There goes Rasmussen, and a calamitous few corners for Alex Simpson. He loses 3 positions just like that.
Yeah, Simpson's just... Oh my
we got
goodness.
2 spinners.
Look out, look out. Oh boy. Car in the middle of the track. Oh, cone flying around. That's going to cause some damage pretty soon. Some of these... Boy, oh boy, that definitely hurt Marco. But there was a second car that looped it around as well in front. Richard Alsop loses it, and then there was another car, 82 of Marco, just really unfortunate there. Lucky not to get hit. But then there was another car, I believe that was actually Josh Thompson, that might have had the cone hit the front wing, so he might have a little bit of damage from that.
Yeah, potentially. You can see it hasn't stopped him too much. He's up into 11th place now. Next up for him is Brandon, and then McFadden, then Johnson. Who really dropped out there? So Alsop's down into 13th, Morgan down into 16th place. That's an awful couple of corners for those 2 drivers. Really, potential race winners, and they've made very uncharacteristic mistakes.
Yeah, and Josh Thompson is probably loving this right now, as he's plus 16 from starting in the back, and he's gonna catch up to some more drivers, and we'll have to keep an eye, because I think they ain't done yet. Ooh, someone went way wide, as I saw. Oh, look out!
Oh, Johnson.
Alex Johnson.
I was wondering in 7th place, I think.
Yeah, I was wondering if someone would. I saw some dirt flying up in the air. I was almost curious if he was going to save it or not, but that answered me really quickly when I saw him facing the opposite direction.
Just so many of those top drivers having issues as Morgan trying to undo his mistakes.
Oh,
We've got another spin, and now it's that Beard. Yes, well, Excite Racing.
I have a feeling. I have a slight feeling that with everyone trying to push aggressive, the way these setups are, and I was even struggling in this one. I was trying to see if I can make a quick setup. Ooh, so we got Johnny Brandon on the side of the track in a really weird spot too. It looks like he has no front wing as well, and a lot of damage actually, because he's crab walking a little bit as well.
That's undoubtedly going to be the end of his races. It is a 37-degree track temperature, so warm, as warm as it gets in the UK, and can be absolutely sure about that. As Brandon loses it early, tries to recover it onto the grass, and just too fast over that, and into the back. He was benefiting massively from those incidents, was up into the top 9, and considering that he was a little bit underwhelming in qualifying, he would probably been pretty thankful for that result, but now he's not going to finish in the top 24.
Yeah, and with him having the no rear wing, it's going to be a few minutes for him in the pits trying to get that rear wing replaced.
Fortunately, these drivers do have a faster pair. A bit of a quirk to this series, I'd say. It really does allow a lot more drivers to finish the races as Beard runs wide after just getting past Matt Bunn. The top drivers now really spread out. So Bayman leads by 3 seconds over Ellis. Namella just dropping back a little bit, but Ilbrink failing to make much of an impact. Simpson got back past Rasmussen. Oh, and now Brandon, trying to get into the pits.
And yeah, without that rear wing, it's difficult to be able to have any kind of downforce to slow you down. So it's just, yeah, it's kind of difficult, especially when you have when you have no parachute, I should say.
Richard Warming coming under pressure from Michael Avdoka, who had that spin earlier on. Wonder where Avdoka could have been if it weren't for that mistake. It would have probably been running in 9th position as it is. Instead, he's 17th. Going to struggle to gain many more places from now to the finish. The Daytona 24 Hours champion, of course, in 5th split in the GTE. Next up for him will be Matt Bunn, and then Ashley Beard as well.
Yeah, and -3 right now, but yeah, I agree. He should have been at least up in 9th or even 8th, depending on with how he was running. So really unfortunate there, but hopefully he should have an opportunity to try to get a few positions back. He's just got to run clean and not make too many mistakes.
I think Mogren and Jonsson are relatively close as we just check in on the race leader. Of course, yeah, Bayman's still leading by 3 seconds now. He's consistently over quarters of a second faster than every other driver out there. The only driver consistently in the 36s. As yeah, we just go to that buzz that I was talking about. Jonsson versus Morgan, both of which have had their big issues so far in this race. Jonsson with a spin, Morgan with a spin. Morgan's spin costing him a bit more time. That last lap he was 4 tenths faster there. Both quickly catching to another driver who's spun, Richard Alsop. On that last lap, Alsop lost a lot of time. And so, if they don't fight too much, they should be able to get onto the back of Alsop. And then, of course, Henny as well. So, yeah, it's a lot of battles yet to come. But right now, the race has just gone a little bit stale.
Yeah, I think as Marco loses it again.
That's Marco's first time.
Oh, but, that was Marco.
Course, Alsop lost it earlier on as well. So now both of those teammates. This is incredible, isn't it? The quality of drivers in this season, yet they're having relatively beginner spins, I'd say, where they're just carrying too much speed into these corners.
Yeah, well, that little shot we had there real quick, I want to say a lot of these drivers, it looks like they're playing with a medium with a medium downforce package from what I'm looking, because it just seems like you don't have the big rear wings like we had, and oh my goodness, Thompson just almost shoved Marco Numella out of the way there going through turn 1. My goodness.
Thompson struggling to stay close to Chapel, and it's kind of left him with too much to do down the hangar straight. You can see how he's closing massively, closing. When he looks to the inside at Stowe, yes, he is going to go for it. Josh Thompson never going to back away from a battle, as we see another spinner. Is it Alex Simpson? No, it's Rasmussen.
No, it's Rasmussen.
Well, that pretty much completes everyone now who's had a spin. I think it's only maybe the top 6 in this race who haven't had spins. Everyone else has had their issues. As well, Rasmussen down into 11th place now, and he's now in this Jonsson and Mogren battle. This race, these three earlier on were fighting over 5th place. They're now fighting over 11th, or sorry, 10th, as they're going through that.
Oh boy!
Rasmussen so I'll stop going ahead. Rasmussen and Mogren now going side by side. Mogren with the inside. Jonsson, can he make this one stick? Yes, he can. So, Jonsson leads us out to Mogren. Apologies.
Man, oh man, this battle's been interesting, but looks like right now this battle might be real interesting, as it looks like Marco's starting to catch up to Rasmussen again. If we look further ahead now, Thompson's gotten around, trying to get around Marco Numella again, and it's just not working out. But they are, I believe, though, looking at the timing, though, they are catching up to Stuart McFadden. McFadden's been struggling a little bit while he's trying to get around Christian Rose. So, these guys, if these guys can calm themselves down, Thompson or Numella might have an opportunity to try to fight with McFadden and Rose for top 5.
Yeah, McFadden, of course, one of the few drivers who hasn't made a mistake so far. Did have that off in qualifying, of course, but that was when he was pushing like mad. I'm sure he's just backing off a little bit in this race, and wisely so, because it looks as though he's going to get a top 8 result from it. But I think Thompson's just going to be a bit too fast. We're not even halfway through this race yet, and we've seen so much action. You wonder where Thompson could maybe get up to, because he's 17 seconds off the lead. Only 2 seconds off Christian Rose, though, as we see Clotesley off the circuit, as he
he beached it. Oh no, that's not a good spot to get stuck at either. Oh man, really unfortunate, and he's more than likely gonna have to tow, because
it's like a whale stuck on a beach, isn't it?
yeah.
Well, unfortunate for him, and he did the right thing, reversing, but he should have reversed a little bit more. And he got himself launched on that one, and well, I don't think he's pulled away yet. No, he's still stranded there. Still trying to get away is Clotesley, and he's not giving up. He's got tenacity about it, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
He finally towed. He's really. I can guarantee you right now, he's probably smacking at the wheel right now for what he did.
I think he'll be smacking fate right now, because absolutely awful luck for him. Hopefully we'll catch a break in race, so of course won't be able to get the reverse grid now. But there you go. Numella. And, well, now that Thompson... So Thompson's dropped behind Numella. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that happened.
I think he's been behind Numella for a while.
Yeah, apologies. I was being a little bit silly there. So Numella is catching up to McFadden, isn't he? Apologies. I thought Thompson had got ahead of him, but no, Numella's still ahead.
Yeah, and they are also catching up to Christian Rose. So this would be kind of interesting if Thompson can get around Numella and McFadden and Rose. That'll be a heck of a finish for Thompson, getting a top 5 after starting pretty much second from last.
Yeah, why he didn't set a qualifying time. Hopefully we'll get a chat with him later on. Always comes for an interview, does Josh Selby very insightful, that one. Oh, and off goes Thompson. So McFadden. So, oh dear. So one of the few drivers who hadn't made a mistake so far. Well, there it is. And he's dropped way down the order behind Mogren and behind Jonsson as... oh, sorry, Jonsson's just behind. So behind Rasmussen and Mogren. So that promotes Namela now up into 6th place. And that's not good news for Rose. Because he was hoping that the judges' final was going to be a little bit of a dam to hold back the other drivers. But instead, Rose... sorry, Namela and Thompson will be hard charging at him now.
Yeah, and with Christian knowing that he is not going to have an opportunity to catch up to Simpson and the other Apex Racing UK drivers and the Radical Online driver Paul Leemring, Christian's going to be having to fight very hard for the next last half of the race just to try to even salvage a top 5 finish right now at this rate.
Yeah, just looking at the standings, we've got Bayman, Ellis, Ilpink, Simpson and Rose. All those just haven't had spins. But then behind that, you got Namela, who had a spin. Thompson started last. Alsop spun, Rasmussen spun, Mogren spun, McFadden spun, and Jonsson has spun. So too has Evdoke in 14th. Absolutely incredible how the majority of the field have had issues. We saw many crashes at Spa. Of course, a little bit more runoff air, thankfully, at this Silverstone circuit. Otherwise, we could have been down to about 15 drivers by now. Oh, and now we've got another spinner, and it's Namela once again. Drops it at Abbey Chicane earlier on, and now it's dropped it at Cops.
Look out. And he's trying to figure out a way. He's having to use the extra pit exit runoff just to get back up to speed. And boy, he's not happy with himself now. And Josh Thompson now, and I have a feeling when Thompson catches up to Rose, Rose is more than likely going to let him by. And that'll mean Thompson will be up 22 positions once he gets around Christian Rose for top 5. Unbelievable run.
It was from Namela, not the same mistake as we've seen other drivers.
Yeah, it looks like he just took too much at the inside curb and just car got a little light. I want to say it just seemed like it over rotated as well.
Yeah, I imagine maybe getting onto the grass with these inside tyres, maybe the grip ratio between the left side tyres and the right side tyres are so different that kind of did over rotate as you mentioned. And well, it was a bit of an unlucky spin as well, almost a full, well, it was a kind of 270, wasn't it? So it took him a while to get back going. Rasmussen then, having to defend from Mogren and McFadden. So McFadden's trying to come back now. And these guys 4 seconds off Richard Alsop. And Jonsson get involved in this one as well, maybe. And Namela and Evdoka even. But right now it's just the 3 of them. Rasmussen holding them up a little bit, surprisingly.
Yeah, Jonsson right now is 2 seconds. 2 seconds from McFadden. But there is still an opportunity for Jonsson to try to make up that gap and catch up to have a good fight for top 10.
Yeah, this is going to be the main battle, I think, to the end of the race, because I think we're getting very close to Christian Rose being overtaken by Josh Thompson. As he said earlier on, you'd expect Rose to let him go, as you can probably see from their liveries. They are from the same team, CQR Club, a team who have been very successful in the World GT in the past, trying to establish that as well in the World F3, whilst they're against some very, very good opposition in Apex Racing UK, Radicals Online and the Racing Network, also NHR Esports, trying to infiltrate that that establishment, and they are currently in 5th and 6th at the moment. Will he be able to go for the inside here, Thompson? You would expect this is just going to be choreographed, not worth the battle. As Thompson goes for the inside, pretty aggressive, but there you go. So he's now up 22 positions, as you mentioned earlier on.
Yeah, so now it's going to be interesting to see how these two work together on trying to catch up to Alex Simpson, who is 10 seconds ahead of Josh Thompson. So, and with 10 minutes to go, that's a big ask, but can't leave Thompson alone though. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to work some magic to try to catch up. But it'll be interesting though.
Alsop at the back of this trio, just at the fastest first sector of anyone. Absolutely lightning, just pops up on my screen as a purple. As he's right into the switch stream. That's the contrast between teammates, and Thompson trying to help out his teammate. I don't think it's going to help though, because round the outside there goes Richard Alsop, the driver who spun in the early stages, where he's back up into 6th place. Now can Rose respond going into Club No? And of course Vale won't be an opportunity either. So Alsop up into 6th. Wait to see if he can maybe put some pressure on Josh Thompson just ahead.
Yeah, and that was a great move by Alsop, being able to keep the momentum on the outside and was able to capitalize on it. Now you have to try to attack and get around Josh Thompson, as well as keeping an eye on defending of Christian Rose. As further back now for 8th place now is Marco Margaret trying to hold off Nicholas Rasmussen, and oh boy, this could get interesting. Ooh, as McFadden gets around Rasmussen and catches him off guard, and will make the pass stick. Ooh, a little bit of wheel spin though, but it looks like he'll be able to hang on and take away 9th from Rasmussen now.
Yeah, Rasmussen losing 2 positions in just a few corners there. Morgan first, and then McFadden, another CQR driver. Not for the same team though, CQR Sim Sports instead. So I'm not sure if they're under the same name in the championship. We'll investigate that later on. But well, can Rasmussen now keep up with these drivers? I fear not. Nomella, on that last lap was 2 seconds faster, so Nomella might be able to catch them by the end of the race. As Thompson coming under increasing pressure from Alsop, that gap is down to 1.5 tenths. But Thompson, such a good driver on the bricks, such a good driver with the racecraft, and well, a driver who seemingly has quite a skinny rear wing. I don't know if you agree with me there, Tyler, but it seems a little bit more narrow than maybe the other cars.
Yeah, I want to say that Thompson's running a low downforce setup. From what I was talking about earlier when we were looking at some of the rear wings, I have a feeling that a lot of these drivers are running like a medium downforce package, to where I have a feeling some of these drivers are probably some drivers are taking the opportunity of trying out the high downforce, and then others working on the low downforce package with the rest of the car around a medium, just because of how you have a lot of low speed corners and a lot of high speed corners that really makes this track unique. So like seeing how we're looking off of Richard Alsop right now, he's got a smaller rear wing, like the higher half of the wing is a lot smaller compared to the one below. So that one, I want to almost say that the rear for that one is almost like a low downforce. So a lot of different setups, and it'll be interesting to see how these setups work, and as well as the adjustments, especially with Alsop looping it around a few times. He might want to make some adjustments on his wing, on both of the rear and the front, because especially trying to get these straightaways to work. You got the straightaway speed, as here comes Alsop on the outside, trying to make it work. But he's definitely got to make some adjustments if he wants some opportunities. As he almost cuts off Thompson there for just a second. But he's going to work on the front wing a little bit, in my opinion, just so where he doesn't loop the car too much and still has the straight line speed.
And of course, his teammate Nomella's had a couple of issues as well, so maybe a little bit of a sketchy car, that one. As Thompson's going to have to go defensive once again, but down the inside goes Alsop, and I think he might just get it done this time. Now contact between the two of them. Thompson is off the circuit. Is there going to be any damage on that car? I'll say Alsop going off the circuit, and now here comes Rose trying to help out his teammate. Goes past Richard Alsop, and through. But Alsop will try to come back at the third to last corner. They're losing each other so much time. Rose is really helping out his teammate. Credit to him, as Thompson sprints off into the distance, and Rose might just make this one stick. But he's not going to give up his Alsop, because he's very quick potentially down this straight. If he is running that little bit less downforce, he's on the outside. Alonso Vettel-esque, I'd say, doing the little dummy is Alsop, but there's not enough of a braking zone into turn 1. And loses out after trying to gain up into 5th place.
Yeah, and seeing how Alsop had to slow up, I want to say he's on a low downforce package, on a low downforce setup for the front, because he had to check up a little bit just to be able to keep the momentum and make it through the turn. Otherwise, he would have been flying way off track. So I think he's definitely got to work on the front wing a little bit if he wants to get a little bit more corner speed compared to Rose and Thompson, especially with how quick Thompson's pulling away right now.
He's gone from trying to get past one CQI driver and to get past another CQI driver. And, just running a little bit wide there is Rose. Very committed on the corner entry, but to be really nailed that one. McFadden 3.5 seconds behind. Nomela's had another issue up there, I think. He's behind. Or was he... Or is it Mogren who's had an issue? Oh, Morgan's had an issue on this lap.
Mogren.
Yeah, he's lost 7 seconds, as Marco Mogren, on this lap.
Oh,
Here
no.
was the incident. Has he... Dropped it on the... Yeah, exit.
Yep. Oh, man. Loses 2 spots as well. Wow. Unfortunate luck there for Mogren.
That's his second spin, I believe. And generally not quite repeating that same pace they had at Spa 16 race 2, where he seemed to be the fastest driver, as we see. Rose under pressure from Alsop, and straight through goes Richard. And back up into 6th place, probably where he belongs. But he's got 2 seconds to catch up to Thompson, and considering this is the penultimate lap, I think that's going to happen for him. So Alsop should be able to pull away from Rose. So the real main battle, I think, is probably going to be McFadden and Rasmussen. Those two have kind of established themselves. So it's, I feel like everyone's kind of found their right position now. I think all the battles have kind of been established and won by drivers. Of course, the mistakes have been a constant throughout, but I think there's not going to be too many more changes now to the end.
Yeah, I think the only one that might be close is going to be the Alsop and Thompson's, because Alsop's only 0.3 of a second to Thompson, so that'll more than likely be the closest one out of them all. So Thompson's going to be fighting hard to try to hang on to 5th as much as possible. Or actually, that was Christian Rose that's closing up on Alsop. Okay, my apologies.
Yeah,
life timing threw me off there for a second.
Oh, honestly, I've been using it now for about 9 months, and I still have no idea what I'm looking at. Rose, yeah, half second back still, trying to stay in that slipstream, but well, he might be able to launch an attack. He's been very resilient so far. Meanwhile, I'd say we haven't done them justice whatsoever. Peter Bayman in the lead. We haven't looked at him, I reckon, for well, about half an hour since the race start, because it's been that simple for him. He's absolutely dominated, as we see Matt Bunn having an issue at club, and he might be lapped. Not quite. We're going to see we're going to see Bayman only just behind. There he is, just going through that corner, and he's 6 seconds clear of his teammate Kevin Ellis. He won race 1, of course, at Spa. Race 2 went very southwards for him, but he is very much establishing himself as the man to beat in this series. Because it looks as though Paul Ilbrink is going to claim his first podium of the season as well. But yeah, let's pay attention to Peter Bayman. Picks Racing UK is going to be another 1-2. It's a 1-2-3 at Spa. They're not going to quite replicate that, but it's going to be the next best as Bayman rounds the final corners. He's going to take his second race win out of 3 in the championship. And he takes a nice little chunk out of his teammates' lead in the championship. Peter Bayman wins at Silverstone. And his teammate Kevin Ellis is going to make it an Apex Racing UK 1-2. Paul Ilbrink only 4 seconds back in 3rd. And Alex Simpson will be 4th. Josh Thompson will be in 5th position from 27th on the grid. Alsop has been able to hold back Rose. McFadden will be 8th ahead of Rasmussen. Well, that was a bizarre race, I'd say. The amount of mistakes we saw was completely unusual, considering that several of these drivers are pro drivers, and the ones who aren't pro are beating pro drivers, let's say. This is an incredibly high quality field, and yet we saw drivers making, 2 mistakes often, and the majority of the grid having at least 1 spin over the course of the half an hour.
Yeah, it was very odd, and I honestly think with this second race, if I was some of these drivers right now, if I had one of those spins before I'd leave the session, I would check to see what the car was doing, see what the setup is looking like on the um on the garage, seeing like how the tire temps are and seeing what possible adjustments might need to be done here for the second race, because definitely some of these drivers definitely are going to need to work on some adjustments, as especially with looping around the car. It could potentially be like the front wing, you might need to add like another like a turn or two of wing, like a little, like probably like a tenth of a degree, or maybe, or actually I think it's like a full like 1 degree, and probably like increase that by a degree or two, and then maybe even just work on the setup a little bit to not where it's not losing it in the corners, especially if you go off track a little. I mean, granted, if you go off track in turn 1, you got to be a little bit off of the throttle to not loop the car around, especially when you hit the AstroTurf, because the AstroTurf will really upset these cars. So definitely going to be a lot of setup adjustments for a lot of these drivers, in my opinion, especially with how much of a struggle some of these drivers had with trying to hang on to the car.
Yes, certainly, it's certainly worth revising those setups a bit as we go through the final standings of race 1, round 3 of the championship, of course. And it was Peter Bayman taking his second race victory of the season ahead of his teammate Kevin Ellis. Paul Ilbrink was in 3rd place, claiming his first podium of the season. Alex Simpson was very distant from his teammates in the end, but still more solid points than him. Talk to anyone, he knows how to win a championship despite not winning a race. Mr. Consistent. Josh Thompson from 27th on the grid, certainly one of the drivers of the race in 5th. Richard Alsop recovered from a spin in 6th. Christian Rose was in 7th. Stuart McFadden finished in 8th. Nicholas Rasmussen in 9th. Marco Mogren, despite 2 spins, I believe, was in 10th. Michael F. Docker finished in 11th. He had a spin very early, almost outside the top 20 at one point. Claims 11th. Danny Henney was in 12th. Then it's Alex Dixon, very under the radar, but well done to him from 22nd on the grid. Alex Johnson was running as high as 5th at one point. Marco Namella was running 2nd in the on the grid. He finishes in 15th. Ben Gregory was in 6th, and there was Paul Gosling, Matt Bunn, Johnny Brandon, Steve Lavelli, and then the drivers 1 lap down, Rayfield, Daniels, and then Clopes Lee had to tow back to the pits after getting beached. Warmingham, I think, had connection issues in 24th. Then it was Foggy, proper retirement, Ashley Beard, Ben Craner, and Thomas McDonnell. What are the rules when it comes to the reversed grid, sir?
I don't know. Samil, so let's see, what's the reverse wheel gonna be like for us?
Well, the reverse grid will be the same as usual, but I'm just looking at the points, how it looks like on the rules.
If only we had.
I have it open, but it's huge rule book, so I think it's best if I just get over with the reverse grid wheel.
I think we have some league admins in the YouTube chat, so I'm sure they
Hi there, I'm Richard Jobling, Senior Software Engineer here at iRacing. I'd like to show you some of the work that we've been doing to improve the collision and the damage in our sim. One of the major changes we've made is how our collision systems work. The old system stored the track as parametric surfaces, and the cars were made of collections of spheres. As the cars moved around the track, we would recompute planes using the track surfaces, and then test those against the spheres. This worked well for spheres, but was too specialized to adapt to our shapes. So for the new system, we've built new high-resolution meshes for each track. This is more efficient and gives us a lot more flexibility for the car shapes. The new mesh incorporates all the track features our guys work so hard to replicate. Things like curb geometry and changes in the surface material are all baked into the mesh. We've also taken our laser scan data and applied that to the mesh. And since the mesh is so high resolution, we capture all the detail that's necessary so that the tracks are just like the real thing. With our new mesh, we can now represent cars using smooth, convex hulls, which grouped together form the chassis, the bodywork, and all the other parts of the car. The new shapes are a much closer fit to the shape of the real car. During impacts, the shapes can deform according to the damage, and eventually they can break off as separate objects. All the parts, like wings, hoods, and wheels, can also hang from their joints, flapping and vibrating until they eventually snap off. All these changes are going to add a whole new level of realism to our races. If you want to find out more, please visit iracing.com and check out my blog post for lots more details.
Hi, my name is Greg Hill. I'm the Vice President of Art and Production here at iRacing. This damage project that we've been discussing is certainly a project that involved all hands on deck to pull off. We've got a rather sizable number of cars in our portfolio, and not all of these cars have been built with this dynamic damage system in mind. So what we had to do is one by one go through our race cars, and we had a team of 3 artists, a highly technical modeler, our technical art director, and our associate art director. All took on each car one at a time, and the work involved was researching that car, researching what would happen to that car if it were in a crash, depending on the forces involved in the crash, how severely it would be damaged, what parts might come off, what those pieces might look like when they're removed, what it would look like where the car has areas exposed that were previously covered by bodywork. So they had to do a lot of modeling to each race car, and they had to do a lot of work to essentially set up how the car would react to forces. So essentially setting the strength of the materials. What kind of force would it take to rip off the side pod, for example? Or under what circumstances would this nose cone get ripped off of a car? Or under which would it remain, but just be badly damaged? But all said, it's been a lot of work, but seeing the car models interact with the physics system and the new crash.
Welcome back to Apex Racing TV and the World F3 Championship, round 2 of the season being brought to you from Silverstone. And I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me is Tyler Bickrey with Sam Kumo on the cameras, of course. Apologies for the small issues we had before with the stream dying. Nothing we could really do about it, unfortunately, but it should be all fine for race 2. And unfortunately, to the viewers, we didn't see that there was a reverse grid of 16 drivers, Tyler, and that's really going to mix it up because we've got a lot of drivers out of position, and so picking a winner for this race to the evening is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with Ben Gregory getting the pole position for that reverse grid, and then we have Marco Namella going to be in the 2nd place for that reverse grid. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. I mean, especially we're going to see how Peter Berryman, Calvin Ellis, Alex Simpson, all I believe Paul Imbrink, and a few other drivers, Christian Rose, Josh Thompson. It'll be interesting to see how well they come back from starting in 16th and further on back to trying to get back up into the top 10 and even the top 5 and fighting for a win.
Yeah, because of course last time at Spa we saw so many issues for drivers. Peter Bayman was similarly dominant at Spa. I won't say quite as strong as he was in race 1, winning by of course 6 seconds over his teammate Kevin Ellis. But he did have issues in race 2, and that can really jeopardize your race. We had so many spins in that race 1. Will we see similar in race 2, or how drivers address those issues? The grid, race 2, round 4 of the championship. Ben Gregory starts on pole position. Michael Nomella, probably the favourite for this race, starts alongside him. Alex Johnson in 3rd place. He was very strong in race 1, apart from a spin. Alex Dixon starts alongside him. Then it's Danny Henney, Michael Abdoka, Marco Mogren, of course, won a race at Spa. Nicholas Rasmussen, Stuart McFadden, and Christian Rose round out the top 10 other notable drivers. Well, I think everyone behind that too. Alsop, Thompson, Simpson, Ilbrink, Ellis, and Bayman. And then we've got Gosling, Bunn, Brandon, and Lavelli rounding out the top 20. The drivers just lining up on the grid now. I've just got Christian Rose and Ben Craner, I think, to still get on the grid. And then we will pretty much be ready for race 2 of the evening. And I think the lights will be coming on very, very soon. Ben Gregory, Pitstone Motorsport from the pole position. And away we go at Silverstone. As a really good start for Gregory, staying ahead of Nomella, seemingly going into Copse Corner. Great shot of all the cars rumbling towards the turn, the first corner of the race. 3 wide, just a little bit further back, and there's almost a couple of cars off. Mogren being able to go through the middle of them. He's up 2 positions already. Still Gregory leading the way, and this is surely going to be an incident, as you say, Tyler. But just about, okay, no, there is now a car and spinning back into the track. Who has that taken off, crucially? I think we've got a CQR driver off.
Yeah, Alex Dixon as well. Ben Craner. Looks like Matt Bunn having issues. Jeez Louise, that was bad.
Johnson's got ahead of Nomella. That is crucial, because those two are surely going to find their way past Gregory as it's all going on just behind. Are we going to see a driver maybe lock up into the club chicane? I think we're okay for now. Yeah, you can just see behind there's not too much contact. But Gregory, if anything, pulling away at the moment. Great job from him at the moment. As we see Mogren trying to make up another position. He's side by side right now with Danny Henney. Round the outside goes Mogren. He wants to win his 2nd race 2 of the season. As we see a big off. Evdoka round. A driver who started on the 2nd row of the grid. And that's an awful start for him. And once again, a poor start from race 1.
And Thompson had to go off track to avoid that, so he ended up taking a slowdown penalty as well, trying to avoid that. So keep an eye on him. Oh, now he got turned. Oh boy. And 4 cars involved there. That's the 12 of Will Daniels. There's a few other cars involved in it. Boy.
Yeah, Brandon as well. Caps off what's been a disappointing day for him. As Nomella goes into the race, so he managed to get back past Johnson then. And now he's got past Gregory as well. That's the pace he's got. I don't think Gregory's going to have any response to this as they go through Baggett's and Beckett's. So, Nomella now, he's just got to set qualifying lap after qualifying lap, because the cavalry will be coming. There's Simpson in 9th, Ellis in 10th, and Bayman in 11th. Maybe not quite the scoring progress they may have hoped, but you can see how they are still very much in touch. Next up past Gregory will be Johnson. Will Johnson be able to go for the move here? Gregory goes defensive. It's probably not worth him going defensive. You know, these drivers are eventually going to get past him anyway. But for now, he's fending them off well, not losing too much time with that defense. And, well, we're going to see a big queue of cars now behind the Englishman.
Yeah, and especially with the Apex Racing group, they're going to just be, they're probably working together, using each other's draft. Whoa, boy, as Stuart McFadden had to make a last-second effort there, but these Apex Racing guys are just working like a freight train. They're going to take every opportunity they can to be able to make a pass. So they're going to be working together. Get ready to see all three of them head up to the front. These guys are fighting up here, these four. Stuart McFadden, Danny Haney, Richard Alsop, and Nick Rusman are all just fighting it out right now.
Yeah, so Haney has already lost, I think, 3 positions on this lap. And I think he's going to lose a few more on this lap because here comes McFadden now. Simpson right on the tail as well. McFadden will be the first one to go past. Now can Simpson go straight through? He's usually quite a cautious driver as Alex. Uses his brain certainly, but he's right on the tail now of his rival, but he's not going to get it done, I think, going into Magnus and Becker, so unless he's really brave here. Simpson goes round the outside of the first part and will have the inside for the second part, so that's good job by him. Next up will be Ellis and Berryman as we see an off, and that's Gregory, is it? Oh dear, the driver who was in second position. Is he going to take out a few more drivers? No, but Gregory, what has happened to him there?
Wow, that was huge impact. He's got no front wing either, so it's going to be interesting for him getting back. Oh, he's in second, runs a little wide. No, actually, let's see what happened here. He might have gotten a little bit of contact maybe too. Oh boy, yeah, just got shoved out of the way there, and the other driver, that was... Who was the other driver involved? That was third place.
Johnson.
Yeah, it was Johnson. Oh, that was a hard hit there in the front for Gregory. Wow.
Do we know who hits him? With that second. Oh, we've got another off. Oh, is that Ellis off the circuit?
Yeah,
I think it was.
Like Ellis. Or actually, no, that was Rasmussen.
McFadden.
Oh, no, Stuart McFadden now.
Apologies.
My time is going crazy on us now.
And is Ellis now getting past Simpson? No, he's having to defend from Rasmussen. He's just got past Rasmussen. So, well, the championship leader, I thought that may have been the championship lead gone for him, but no, he's still okay, and he's still extending that championship lead as it stands at the moment.
Alex.
That's Simpson to come back.
Yeah, not Simpson. Sorry, that was Berryman trying to see getting around. Oh, we got someone spinning further back. That's Johnson. Looked like he took turn 1 a little too wide and just lost the back end. Oh, I heard someone else losing it. I heard someone spinning around. Rich Warmingham also spun. Oh, now he's in the wall.
Yeah, miles away from the circuit there. I'm sure if else maybe contact with another car because he's hit that wall because that's a long way away. It's all going on in these opening stages. So Bayman didn't get past Rasmussen in the end, so having a little bit of resistance for once is Bayman. But he's very strong on the exit of Vale, and he might just get his rival going into Abbey. He doesn't want to let his teammates get away, Simpson and Ellis, particularly Ellis, because Kevin's got the pace to beat his teammate Alex. I feel as though I think Peter should be able to smother him there. But still not getting that move done on Rasmussen, wanting to make absolutely sure of it, but now he is 8 seconds off the race lead. Got a long way to catch up. Of course, Rasmussen, not a slow driver by any means, but, you know, you'd expect Bayman to make that move a little bit quicker than he has done.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just being calculated here. It looks like he should have the draft, so he might look on the inside unless Rasmussen looks to do another little overtake. Nope, as here comes Berryman on the inside. Have the line and will easily make it through. So Berryman, Ellis, and Simpson all 4th, 5th, and 6th right.
Ilbrink will also be through potentially next. Ilbrink 3rd in that race 1. Certainly seemed as though he was the 3rd fastest driver as well. The 3rd most reliable driver, at least was the Radicals Online competitor. As he goes down the inside at Stowe. Can he make this one stuck? Rasmussen will want to defend this one because these two are pretty even on pace. And Ilbrink go through anyway. So, well, it's unusual to see Nicholas Rasmussen, a driver who's come very close to turning pro a couple of times. 4 positions in a matter of a couple of laps.
Yeah, definitely. And Ilbrink will be on the back end of Berryman. He'll more than likely would just stay behind the Apex Racing guys as he's top 3. Ooh, Simpson runs wide. He's gonna have a slip.
He's going to lose another position. He's trying to defend though as Simpson, but there was no hope there. But now coming back at his rival. Has he still got to slow that slowdown though? Well, maybe he's got it cleared, and he is now ahead.
Yeah, I think he does have it cleared. Boy, oh boy.
He was coming under big pressure from Ellis, and I think he's just misjudged his braking zone there into the Abbey chicane, as he's under more pressure now from Ilbrink, who beats him, of course, in race 1. Had to overtake him to beat him as well, so he certainly has got the capabilities to get this move stuck here, Ilbrink. But now he's just going to stay behind with Rasmussen, staying in this battle, and Foggy and Rose as well, closing in on this.
Yeah, as Rasmussen's just hanging in the rear of Ilbrink, waiting to see what happens here. I think all three are going to have to work together now, trying to catch back up to the rest of the field, as Ellis and Berryman just pulling away right now, and 2.5 seconds behind Alsop, and they gotta be real quick if they want to try to catch up to the top 3.
Simpson surprisingly, fine going into Stoke, not under as much pressure from his rivals. Rasmussen taking a slightly wider line, but he's still staying in touch. Rose and Foggy just behind McLaren, a further 5 seconds back. But right now, it's, well, as we just go back to this battle, Jonsson versus Henny. Jonsson had that spin early on. This should be quite simple for him. And he does get stuck, of course. In the lead, 3 seconds ahead is Marco Namella, ahead of Marco Mogren. And he's got good pace as Namella in the mid-37s. Of course, a 39-degree track temperature out there. Yeah, he's 3 seconds ahead of Mogren, who lapped slightly faster on that last lap, as Alsop is in 3rd place, faster than the pair then. Then it's Ellis, and then it's Bayman, the only driver in the 36s so far. And that last lap, Bayman was 8/10 faster than the race leader. Well, this is a difficult situation now for these two, because we got Ellis, the championship leader. These two are probably going to fight for the championship amongst each other. But Bayman is undoubtedly the fast driver and has a chance at the race win if Ellis lets him pass. So how do you solve this one?
I want to say, just with how they're running, they might want to be just play cautious and see what happens. Because, man, this is going to be interesting to see. I mean, right now, Ellis being up front, Berryman was probably want to try to get a better points position, but I think with all 3 teammates right now, 4th, 5th, and 6th, I think they're going to try to focus on more of the team championship-wise right now.
Yeah, but they are the 2 fastest drivers out on circuit, so they will catch regardless. Well, will they catch in time though? That's the big question. Bayman looking very close on the back of his teammate, but so far in this race he's been relatively cautious. I think he's going to be even more cautious, considering that it is his own teammate on that last lap, of course, was a purple time. And they are just getting a slightly better shot of those top 3. Foggy trying to get past Rose currently. Simpson's managed to kind of stem that attack from Ilbrink, but Foggy carrying on to attack Rose. And now down to 1/4 of a second. 2/10 of a second between these two. CQR versus XVR. How often do we say that, of course, on Apex Racing TV? And Foggy just staying behind. They are catching up to Rasmussen just ahead.
Yeah, right now, looking at the lap times, they're right now running a little bit quicker than Rasmussen. Rasmussen's in the 138s, and the rest meanwhile, Foggy's in the 137s. Christian Rose is barely in the 138s, barely into the high 37s, I should say. His last lap time was 138.0, so Foggy's running a little bit quicker. Foggy's going to look on the inside. Easily gets around Christian Rose, and Foggy's going to be on the attack now of trying to attack Rasmussen for 8th.
Expect those two to be fighting for the championship in the World GT Championship. Maybe not fighting for this World F3 Series though. Of course, the World GT Championship every Monday. Well, apart from this Monday, of course, it was having a 1-week break, but we'll be back, of course, extremely competitive, just as competitive as this, with an even larger grid as well. Foggy now 8/10 behind Rasmussen. He's trying to respond against Ilbrink. He's all of a sudden lost a lot of time to Simpson. Ilbrink had a poor sector 3 on this. I'm not sure which corners are in sector 3. I think that's Vale, and maybe Abbey as well. So that's where he lost the time, and it's left him in the clutches of these 3 drivers hot on his heels.
Yeah, definitely. So we're keeping an eye on Nick Rasmussen right now. And Rasmussen right now, last lap time was a 1:38.1. Still running slow. Still a little quicker than Ilbrink, which Ilbrink is struggling as well. But these lap times right now are just coming into the advantage of Nico Foggy, who's in the 37 still. So, and the gap right now for Foggy to Rasmussen is only 0.3 of a second. So get ready for another big battle here with Foggy potentially, if he can get around Rasmussen, up 17 spots if Foggy can be able to make the overtake on Rasmussen.
Yeah, had good straight line speed on the last lap, not quite so impressive this time as Bayman has got past Ellis, and that is absolutely crucial. Was it an orchestrated move? It looks as though it was, and well, Ellis quite fast
looks
at
like
this point. Bayman, has he just dived on him? No, I think this was orchestrated. May well be in the same Discord channel,
orchestrated.
And that's very wise.
Yeah, just Ellis runs a little further wide. He did slow up a little bit as well to keep the momentum, and Berryman in front of Ellis and now on the charge now to try to catch up to Richard Alsop, which they are right now, as Ellis ran a 1:36.9 and Berryman a 1:37 flat, so only a second, 1.4 seconds behind Alsop, and that probably another few laps and they'll be fighting with Alsop for third position overall.
Yeah, of course they'll have their sights set on the lead as well. They're now only 5 seconds off the lead. Earlier on they were over 8 seconds off the lead, so they could still catch by the end of this race. Alsop all of a sudden putting some pressure on Mogren. Last lap he was actually a little bit slower than Mogren, to be fair, 1.5 tenths slower. But he set a purple sector turn. Generally, he's been able to bring that gap down, and down to now half a second between these two. We'll get the slipstream as well. Certainly the rear wings aren't varying as much as they were at Spa, where we saw Mogren do the first and third sectors, some 0.7 of a second down on the absolute fast, and then about half a second faster the middle sector. It's not quite that variance, but of course still quite important when it comes to this wheel-to-wheel battling, and these drivers can make the move or not, and this is inevitably going to be a four-way battle very soon, and once Bayman gets there, he's got to be very decisive.
Yeah, it's just running through the little second chicane very clean there for Richard Alsop as they're on their way right now, charging through the field. And Alsop is now 0.6 of a second the gap, so it looks like Mogren ran a little bit cleaner through there. But look in the background, Berryman and Ellis closing up even more.
Of course, if Alsop can keep these two Apex Racing UK drivers behind, it would really benefit his teammate Marco Nermella, the current race leader. 3 seconds is the race leader. A little bit of a slower lap time that time by Nermella and Mogren, late 37s. Considering that Bayman and Ellis have been in the 36s, oh, and off goes Mogren. His third spin of the day, and he must be absolutely fed up.
Yeah, and getting back up to speed now. He's gonna close off Ilbrink there for a minute, but Paul Ilbrink's gonna be able to get around, and Mogren's gonna lose more spots.
Of course, those two are teammates. Mogren, though, from 7th on the grid, was a great opportunity to back up that race 2 win at Spa. It's not going to happen anymore. As Rasmussen, is he going to be overtaken by Foggy finally? No, he's defending very well, and all of a sudden he's got 2 Radicals drivers very much in touching distance.
Oh boy, Foggy looking up on the outside. If he can stay side by side, nope, definitely won't work, but he'll try to do the switchback and just won't happen. He'll be up on the draft, right up on the gearbox that time. Foggy's trying to find an opportunity. He might have an opportunity here if he can get a better run out. and he's not gonna make the move, and he's gonna wait until we get into turn 1 to try to see if he can make a move.
Oh, the turbulent air just too much for Foggy, and these high track temperatures up to 41 degrees now, so it's actually risen, and it might rise by a couple more degrees as well, considering that's currently 2 in the afternoon. Usually it's about 2:30, I think, where it reaches its absolute max out there. So of course now it's Racing Network 1-2, Apex Racing UK 3-4-5, Radicals Online 6-7. That is absolutely lovely. Or it makes up for the fact that the grid wasn't exactly the same as Spa. As Foggy, will he be able to make it XVR 8? There's not really any pattern there, unfortunately. But for him, he will be delighted. And right now, I'm sure he is. Of course, the World GT defending champion, the 2-time champion of the World GT, has also finished 2nd in the Euro V8 Supercar Series, 3rd in the BSRTC Championship, fighting for the BSRTC Winter Series as well, and tied at the top of the Euro V8 Championship. A long list of achievements for Nicole Foggy, and he is now up into 8th. I think that ranks as one of the lowest.
Yeah, definitely is. Right now, Peter Berryman still running low 37s, and Marco Numella and Richard Alsop right now are struggling lap time-wise, as Berryman ran 0.5 of a second quicker than Alsop. Numella ran a 1:38.4 that time, so the lap times are really starting to come down, as here comes Berryman closing in on Alsop, and Alsop's got to do everything he can to defend to help Marco try to get this win.
Definitely, and he's got decent paces. Alsop, as Berryman makes a mistake, he's got to get on with this one. As Berryman, he's got 10 minutes, apologies, to get this one done. In the last 10 minutes, he's been able to bring the gap down to the race leader by about 5 seconds. He's only got 3 more seconds to gain. So if he can get this one done right now, Peter Berryman, then he's almost certainly going to win this race. But Richard Alsop is doing a vital contribution for his team's chances. Of course, is Numella going to be able to keep it on the circuit? He made 2 spins in race 1. Alsop made a spin as well. Meanwhile, Berryman and Ellis were absolutely faultless, so too was Simpson. So, you know, they gotta be pushing like absolute mad, but it's even slipperier than it was in race 1, so they gotta be careful that they don't make the same mistakes as they did about half an hour ago.
Yeah, it definitely is. Keeping an eye on this battle here. Right now, Berryman's got 0.3 of a second, but that gap is even tighter now. It's Berryman's all up on the gearbox of Alsop, trying to get around him, and Numella's still struggling with the setup right now and getting any kind of grip. Gap times are dropping on him from Numella to Berryman, but Berryman's got to get around Alsop now if he wants to make any opportunity with about 9 minutes to go left in this race.
Here we go to the outside at Cops Corner. He's going to try it as Peter Berryman might go onto the marbles. Gets the cutback now. Is it a good exit for Alsop? It's a really good exit from Alsop. Credit to him for a very astute defence. But he might be a sitting duck going into Stones. How close they can stay. Do Maggots and Beckers. Will Ellis be allowed to go for a move on Berryman, or will he just let his teammate get the move done first? Berryman, not a good run out there. He's struggling to keep up with Alsop through those fast corners, and if anything, it's Ellis who's going to have the best chance to move into Stoke Corner. The 3 of them all close in on one another. Berryman's got to make sure that he gets his move done very soon, because they're still 3 seconds off the race leader. And Berryman, oh, he's going to go for the move. It wasn't a deliberate move. And Alsop now is going to have the inside for the next part. Berryman's going to try to make it stick anyway. I'm not sure if that was deliberate or accidental, as Ellis makes a mistake just in the background. Berryman now with the ideal line on the inside into the Abbey chicane. And this should be 2nd position for the Apex Racing UK driver. But no, Richard doesn't give up. There's almost contact between the 2 of them. But Berryman makes it stick, and he's up into 2nd place. 3.5 seconds to catch the leader.
Yeah, what an unbelievable overtake there. It almost became contact for Alsop and Berryman, but Berryman was able to stick it and keep the car planted on the ground, and now Berryman's got about a 3.5 second gap he's got to make up with 7 minutes to go this time. So not many laps to do it, but Berryman's going to have to push this car very aggressively if he wants an opportunity to catch up.
Here comes LSG, here comes LSG down the inside. And, well, that was a little bit more simple for him. Next up, of course, will be Simpson, who's actually had pretty good pace in these past few laps. Slapping some 2 seconds faster than these drivers whilst they've been fighting. So, well, he's all of a sudden looking very good. Driver, he's, I think Alex is quite smooth on the tyre, so maybe reserving them, or preserving them, apologies, a little bit better. Also, trying to come back at Ellis, actually. But he's not going to go for the move, because now it's an absolute duel, isn't it? Bayman lost, it was Ellis who lost out to Mogren in race 2 last time out. Apex Racing UK hoping for their first lockout of the season. And already on this lap, Bayman's taken half a second out of the race leader.
Yeah, Berryman right now, last lap was a 138.5, and that was just because of having the battle with Alsop, and Alsop, just the tires are going way too quick on Alsop. He's struggling to keep up with the Kevin Ellis now. The gap from Alsop to Kevin Ellis is growing. It's up to 0.6 of a second already. So that setup for Alsop, it's just really starting to hurt him now in the long run of this race, as we still have about 6 minutes to go left of the race.
So what's the difference in lap times this time? Nomella will approach the line. He does a 1 minute 37.58. That's a strong lap time from him, but it's nothing close to Peter Bayman. A purple lap time, a 36.6, nearly a full second faster than the race leader. It looks as though it's only a matter of time till he catches him. Of course, as May Walker once said, you've got to say it's a very different thing, catching to passing.
Yeah, and with that being the fastest lap time of the race, and then Kevin Ellis came out too with a 137 flat. So both Apex Racing drivers that are in second and third, they are on the hard charge trying to catch up to Marco Numella, which Marco Numella now, he's got to be patient. He's got to conserve his tires a little bit here, because he knows Peter Berryman's going to be on his tail. He's only got about 4.5 minutes left that he's got to make it out. So roughly about 3 laps, I want to say, before the end of the race. As we look further back now, Marco Mogren just getting squeezed out by Nick Rasmussen there. And here comes Nico Foggy on the outside as well, trying to make an opportunity and get around Mogren as well.
Yeah, and Ray's just behind these guys as well. So Mogren and I assume Rasmussen and Mogren have got past these drivers of Foggy and Rose, because those two have been glued together from the start. Foggy trying to get the move done though, when he looked to the inside into this next corner. No, although actually
it's
great
got the
chance.
run though. I just gets on the brakes a little early though. Gonna try to look for the overcut if possible. Nope. And got a little better run, but he has to check up though, because Marco just did not get the drive on.
Deep into the slipstream is Foggy. Will he go for the move into Cops? Yes, he is. Almost fully alongside, now fully alongside, and now pulling ahead is Nicole Foggy as
Nomella's wrecked.
Off the circuit.
That rear end is... I thought I heard some tires screeching earlier. I was wondering what... Oh no, don't tell me he went wide. Oh boy, he just a little bit there. Or was it in the S's that he made the critical mistake? Mackett's and Beckett's coming up now. Oh, yeah, it used the rumble strips a little too rough. Oh, man. Leading the race, and he's now dropped to 7th. Oh, man.
And he's laying past these drivers, realizes that he's damaged.
He's got some really severe damage then, probably, and he's just trying to make it to the end of the race now.
Well, I did say earlier on how he's pushing so hard. Is he going to make another one of those mistakes? He's now had 3 spins today, and that last one far more costly than the first 2. Foggy now up into 7th place as he got it stuck on Mogren. So all of a sudden it's Nicole Foggy really on the charge. Mogren's not giving up on this one though. Absolutely fantastic job between these two.
Numella had a spin again. I just heard some tires screech, and I looked at the timing. He was down to 0 miles an hour, so I have a feeling he probably just had another spin. Really unfortunate for Numela, just struggling with the car.
These two have been side by side for half a lap already. Foggy going to try to get the cut back. If you can get the outside here, remember, I think Lewis Hamilton managed to do a move around the outside at this corner in GP2, but Foggy can't do the same, as Numela actually comes into the pits. So going to get a faster pair, that's probably the wise thing to do. He had a big gap, and he might still finish in the top 12 in this race.
Yeah, as he's still coming into his pits though, and boy, it's really hurting him at all, having to go all the way to the start. Fast repair used, and should be away pretty soon. Or he's sitting there a little bit longer. I wonder if he had a unsafe pin entry as well, because he's sitting there for over 15 seconds now.
Yeah, 16.1, so I think you might be right. Simpson, has he had an issue? A little bit of an issue. He's lost about 0.6 of a second. Here it was. He, of course, he went straight across the grass at the Abbey chicane earlier on. And I feel as though he's not done the exact same, but a similar issue.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, he's overshot it again, in fact.
Yeah, and plus having the slow down, so that really hurt him there. He's got Paul Embrake now on his rear, so Alex Simpson's got to be wise here and be as much defensive as he can, as next time by should be white flag. Actually, I believe this might be white flag as we're getting close to the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, it sure will be. Simpson and Ilbing are going to get a decent points. Also, all those drives in the top 6 are going to get some decent points. Morgan, of course, after the poor race 1, isn't going to be a great day for him, and he's under pressure from Foggy still. Oh, what a battle these two have had. Rose failing really to keep up with these guys, despite them battling so hard. Oh, and Morgan's off. And, well, he had 2 spins in race 1. He's had a spin, 2 spins, I think, in race 2. I think 4 spins in total. And a bit of a rubbish day for Morgan. That'll be how he sees it. And, well, this will be... we don't really need to see any more spins, to be honest, because I think we've seen every trick in the book to see how you can over-rotate the rear end in this car. And just got on the grass there, on the power, and off he goes, fortunately not into the wall. Out in the lead though, Peter Bayman. He's going to be able to complete the double. 4 races so far this season, he has won 3 of them. He might not be the championship leader, but he could well be the favourite in many people's eyes. Peter Bayman approaches the line, he completes the double at Silverstone, and he wins for Apex Racing UK. Kevin Ayers Jr. will claim his 4th second place of the season. The championship leader still, Mr. Consistent, Mr. Fast, it must be said, to finish in that position every single time. McFadden having a little bit of a close battle against Johnson. Simpson, by the way, managed to hold off Ilbrink to the line. And McFadden, he's not going to be able to beat Johnson. I think he started in 3rd position. Was one of the favourites for this race. Hasn't really panned out that way. But he will be able to beat the CQR Sim Sports driver to the line. Well, another really good race, Tyler. A little bit different to the first one. We saw less mistakes, arguably some more costly mistakes though for the lead battle. Numela was driving well out there, was probably going to be caught anyway, and in the end, that pressure really told, and he made just a mistake from pushing too hard. Yeah,
and especially with a lot of the mistakes. I mean, there was very minimal mistakes, but a lot of the mistakes that did happen were key mistakes that, I mean, Josh Thompson gets caught up in a wreck. Rich Warmingham got caught up in one. Ben Craner, Johnny Brandon, Thomas McDonald, Josh Rayfield, all caught up in different wrecks. And it makes a difference when you have very little mistakes, but a lot of those mistakes equivalated to a lot of cars being out of the race, and especially the pole for race 2, the pole driver for race 2, Ben Gregory, made a mistake all on his own, and he finishes in 21st. So definitely some big things that happened in race 2, even though it was a lot less mistakes.
So we now can go through the final results of race 2 here at Silverstone. As we see the all the drivers going back to the pits. It's good to see them doing that, of course. Great to see that. Great for them to show off their liveries and their team names, of course. Peter Bayman from 16th on the grid wins second race of the evening. Kevin S was in second place. Richard Alsop, great effort from him. Great defense. He wasn't the fastest out there, but that's a really valiant third place. Alex Simpson in fourth despite a couple of offs. Paul Ilbrink had an off as well, but finished in fifth. Nicholas Rasmussen was in sixth. Nicole Foggy, a great battle, eventually beating Christian Rose and Marco Mogren in 7th, 8th and 9th. Alex Janssen was in 10th. Stuart McBride finishes in 11th with Miles Clotesley after getting beached in race 1, 23rd to 12th in that one. Well done. Danny Henney, more consistent points for him in 13th. Will Daniels in 14th. Michael Abdoka, a self-spin in 15th place. He'll be frustrated with his day. Steve Lavelli in 16th. Marco Nomella, the race leader for so long, 17th in the end. So disappointing for him. Paul Gosling was in 18th. Alex Dixon in 20th. And then the retirees were Gregory, Rayfield, McDonald, Warmingham, Thompson, Brandon and Rayner. Rounds up the 27 drivers. We ought to have some interviews with drivers, but currently there are none of them with us. So we look forward to next week as I frantically look to see where on earth we are next week. We are at Interlagos. What do you think of that one, Tyler?
Oh, this is going to be real fun now, as I think we're going to see some same scenarios here with, like we did with Spa. Going to be some interesting setup choices, especially with how the one half of the track is completely different than the other. Especially when you have that long start-finish straight line area, you're going to have a lot of top speed on that end. But then at the same time, you're going to have a middle section that's going to be completely different. A lot of tighter turns, a lot of high speed and low speed corners, and a lot of great overtaking moves as well in those spots. So going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen in that race. Going to be seeing a lot of different setups in play as well.
Definitely. We have now been joined by a few of the drivers out there. First up, we'll chat to Peter Bayman, our double race victor today. And Peter, that was a great effort from you. You were absolutely dominant in that race 1, but it was a much tougher ordeal in race 2.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? Yeah, race 1, well, we'll start with qualifying. Qualifying was pretty perfect for me. I was quite surprised, really, to see the gap between myself and the rest of the guys. I think I just nailed the lap a lot cleaner than the rest of them. So I knew the race would be much, much tougher. And yeah, I'd like to say a big thanks to Kevin and Alex, because I think they saved us this one. I think we were really struggling in the practice beforehand with pace, and those guys brained up the setup within 30 minutes, and yeah, everything came together. So big thanks to those guys.
We saw you a little bit cautious out there through the traffic in race 2. I say cautious, you're probably quite rational, I'd say, in terms of overtaking. You weren't going for too many bandside moves. Were you confident that even if you did take your time getting through the traffic, you would eventually get to the lead of the race?
I was really surprised. I mean, we were watching the gaps coming through traffic, and we thought maybe the leader was, much too far ahead, because I think the leader had a 3-second gap to second, so I think second place was the target. But with the extra bonus points for a 0x race and things like that, getting through the traffic can be quite tough. Do you go for the move and risk getting an off track or a 4x, or do you sit behind and get the points? So you sort of have to just make a decision on the go in the situation and just see what you can do.
Yeah, and you certainly did a good job of that in the end. of course, next up we head to Interlagos. That'll be round 3 of the championship. You're currently 3 out of 4 in this series, which is a pretty incredible start. You may not be leading the championship, but you must be going into that 3rd round of the season with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely going to put a much bigger margin than was already there in the team's championship. So, yeah, the team is the main thing. That'll be the goal every race, just to score maximum points as much as we can. And yeah, for sure, we're going to be getting into Interlagos with a lot of expectations based on the first few races. So, looking forward.
Definitely. Before we let you go, Peter, any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yep, of course, like to give a big shout out to the guys, of course, Kevin and Alex, for the huge part they played in tonight. And I'd like to thank team sponsors, Neil Bodner, SDK Gaming. I'd like to also thank the series sponsors, Simortal. And yep, thanks to you guys for the broadcast.
Thanks, Pete, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, thanks very much.
We've got a few more drivers. First up, we'll have an interview with Alex Simpson. And Alex, first question, and you know, I'm sure you won't be, it won't be a very pleasant question, but what is it about that Abbey chicane?
I just choked, didn't I, twice today. The funny thing is, the first time we were busy having a conversation about when to do a switch so that, you know, we had a chance to get to the front, because I wasn't going to get there. I just didn't quite have the same pace as the guys, and I was far too busy trying to arrange when the switch was, and I was like, there's a break-in point back there. I turned back and looked at it. I was like, oh my words, yeah, this is going to be interesting. And yeah, I just thought, screw the 0x. Let's just make sure we don't spin. So I just took the off track, and then at the end I was just pushing like absolutely nuts to try and get obviously the 1, 2, 3. I was braking later than perhaps I have done all night on every corner, and yeah, it just bit me again. I got a little twitch going on there, and I was like, no, don't finish outside of the, you know, the top 4. Don't give away a top 5 or anything silly. So again, I bailed, took it, and yeah, just settle for 4th. It was a good fun race though. I enjoyed that. Good night actually all around. So super happy with the team points.
Definitely, and I think that was 2 4th place finishes. You're racking up those points, and you know, you always say how you won the road to, or not the road to pro, but the qualification series, despite not winning a race and only claiming a handful of podiums. Of course, against your teammates, winning the championship, maybe you might need to do a little bit more, but certainly, you know, finishing high up in the standings, you're doing plenty enough as it stands.
I'm going to pull team rank right at the end. I'm going to tell them to wait for me. As long as we've wrapped up that team championship, I'll be like, you boys get to the back. Let the old timer win for a change. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Kev's the one that's doing the super consistent at the minute, 4 for 4 in his 2nd places. That would be impressive if he can keep that streak going.
Absolutely. Oh, well, that would be an insane championship, wouldn't it? Of course, yeah, you've raced against Paul quite a bit out there, Paul Ilbrink quite a bit. I guess it's kind of weird, you know, finding these rivalries with drivers who you've probably raced on the circuit before, but not necessarily wheel to wheel quite in this way. And of course, these are very established drivers against you, but it's great to see kind of these rivalries develop as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's funny actually, because I mean, I think me and Paul have obviously raced in the World Championship maybe 3 years, and I honestly can't, and maybe he can, remember a time where we've gone wheel to wheel in the F1 in the World Championship Series. I think it was either I was away or he was away. There was never ever a time where we were really on the same bit of track. So yeah, it was good fun to race with Paul. Lots of respect from both of us. Given today some hard racing in places, but you know, some good racing. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season brings in that front, really.
Definitely. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, well, to you guys for streaming, as always, giving up your time to do it. It's a pleasure. To the league admins, to Matt, all the guys that make it happen there as well. Social Proofed and Simortal, big thank you for supporting the series. All the guys at Apex Racing, Kevin and Peter, and to our sponsors as well, SDK Gaming, Leo Bodner, Computers PC Systems, and JCL Sim Racing.
Thanks, Alex, and we'll see you soon on Apex Racing TV.
Cheers.
We'll also have a chat with our championship leader still, Kevin S. Jr. And, well, Kevin, 4 out of 4 now with those second places. I'm sure you'd like to finish 1 place higher, but this is an almost perfect start to the season for you.
Yeah, hey guys, I keep on looking back at that Spa race too, and just running it back in my head and thinking, if I'd just done this different, if I'd just done that different, but no, it's been a really good start to the season, just keeping it clean, and yeah, today went pretty much perfect. I think we got maximum points for the team, and 0x both races as well, so really maximised the points there, and yeah, I mean, we're all here for the team, as Pete said earlier. It's just all about the team. No one's here to kind of stroke our own individual ego. We're all here just to get that championship for the team and have a bit of fun out there. So yeah, tonight was a really good.
Definitely, and that team aspect was very evident when you kind of moved aside for Pete. In the end, that was the absolute right thing to do, because maybe if you were ahead, you may have been able to catch anyway, but it's almost certain that Marco wouldn't have felt that same pressure, he wouldn't have spun, and you may have had to settle for second and third instead. Yeah,
you know, hindsight's 2020. I think I could have closed on Marco, maybe got it within 2 seconds, but I don't know if I could have quite got it within a second there. So we were quite fortunate for Marco. It sucks for him to have lost it there. That's a big shame for him. But you know, for us, it worked out pretty much perfect. Still searching for that 1, 2, 3, but yeah, I think it will come at some point. It's only round 2. Got plenty of tracks to go. So yeah, I mean, tonight I knew Pete was obviously a good 2-3 tenths a lot quicker than me. He's got the most seat time in the car, and he's built the set and everything else. So we're just sort of playing catch up every week and trying to help him where we can. And I thought, you know, it's the best thing for the team if I just let Pete go and he can try and drag me along and catch those guys. And as you said, in hindsight, it was probably the perfect thing to do. So yeah, as I said, just here for the team, and we've done a good job tonight. You can go to sleep happy.
Definitely. And how was the track temperature out there? Was it really affecting the grip, and how were the tyres as well? Because we saw with other teams, it seemed as though their lap times were dropping off as the race went on, but you and Peter were just fast throughout.
Yeah, the track temp was definitely a different kind of element for race 2. It was a little bit warmer, I think. But the track didn't seem to be as rubbered in. It was quite dusty at the start, so there was slightly more grip there. But I think the car was just so good that it didn't really matter what conditions we were in. I think we've definitely got the car almost where we like it. As Pete said, we had a bit of an issue in warm up with about 30 minutes to go. I was watching someone's replay and realised that we were completely off, and Alex and I kind of knuckled down and changed a few things with the set, and Pete was saying, you know, I'm going to just roll with what we've got. It's too late to change things now, and we managed to kind of talk him out of it, which is rare, and got him onto the new set, and things worked out really well. So yeah, no, the car was just really good. Pete's done a really great job with the chassis and everything, getting it all where it needs to be, and Alex and I tonight were just sort of tweaking aero, and that kind of got us those last few tenths that we needed. So no, the car is just really, really good. Every single time I'm in the car, I enjoy driving it. So no, the guys have done a great job.
Absolutely, that certainly paid dividends in the end. Before we let you go, Kevin, any shout-outs you'd like to give?
First off, just to the team and everything, Pete and Alex especially have done great jobs with this car. Alex has been short on time, granted, but he came in clutch tonight and kind of saved us there with the adjustment that he made. So yeah, big thanks to Pete and Alex, the rest of the guys on Apex Racing UK, of course. And to you guys for the broadcast, all of our sponsors and the series sponsors. Social Proofed, I think they're called. I'm trying to read the name here. My apologies, but yeah, Social Proofed and Samorto and all the guys involved with setting this league up. It's really good fun to be out here and have a bit of fun with some guys I've never raced before. So thanks to everyone involved, and hopefully see you next week.
Absolutely, thanks Kevin, and yeah, see you next week.
Cheers.
We've also got a couple more interviews. We'll have a chat with Nicholas Rasmussen, and Nicholas, that was a decent points haul for you today. I think that was, you'll have to remind me where you finished in race 1. It was 8th place in race 1, wasn't it? And 6th place in race 2. I don't think you had any spins out then. Whilst everyone else was spinning up, you kind of just went through the middle of it all. Yeah, how did you do that in comparison to others?
I'm super glad you didn't see my spin in the first race then. Nah, in the first race was going well. We were running in the top 5, and unfortunately, I had a pop-up on my PC which black screen my blacked my screen out at the end of Hanger Straight, so I had a little spin there. But recovered, and yeah, it was solid race in the second race, finishing P6. Pretty happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. And just take us through the start for you, because you're in about 8th position. Was it a good start for you? I think you got into the top 5 pretty soon.
Yeah, it was a pretty good start. I mean, we managed, at least in the first race, to stay out of trouble, and then just pick up the places where other drivers spun off. And for the second race, I got a pretty decent start. Lacked a little bit of pace in the middle of the race. Sort of got it back there at the end again. I was able to get a P6, and my teammate Alex Johnson got P10, so a top 10 for NHL Esports.
Yeah, it must be really positive for you guys. Have you been able to put much practice into this round and into this championship generally? Is it one of your top priorities?
Yeah, it's my top priority. I think we got 120 laps in yesterday's practice, and so 50 in today's warm-up. So we do as much work as we can, because we know the competition is super stiff, and we just have to really get everything out of it to even be near these guys.
Yeah, and of course, all that practice must really help with the setups. We've found in the commentary booth so far this season how different the downforce levels can be, and we can tell just by the kind of skinniness of the rear wing. Going into Lagos next week, that's going to be a circuit where, you know, there could be stark contrast between the downforce levels of your opponents.
Yeah, we've already tried a few different settings there in the official racing, so we kind of know what we'll go for. But I think there's some viable options there. Most likely high downforce from what I've seen, but obviously we'll lose out a little bit of top speed, which is critical in the races. So yeah, we will see what we go for when we come to it, and what our competitors will do. It's going to be an exciting race for sure.
Absolutely. It'll be good to see you there, Nicholas. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, huge thanks to the organizers of this league. What a place to race. This is absolutely fantastic. And thanks to you guys for broadcasting. Thanks to sponsors. Thanks to NHL Esports, the team, Newman Racing, and Extreme Gameware, our sponsors. And yeah, let's hope to see you guys next week, and let's go get them.
Absolutely, Nicholas. We'll see you there.
Absolutely, man.
Finally, we'll have an interview with Christian Rose. And Christian, that was some battles you had near the end of the race with Nicole and Mark. I swear you and Nicole were glued together for that entire half an hour.
Yeah, no, that was a really fun race. I know that Nicole certainly had the edge on me in that particular scrap. But yeah, you know, you push so hard and you think, I'm still so far off the winner. You know, you then realise how good of a job Pete, Kevin, Alec, and guys at Apex Racing Kate puts in. They're just fantastic. You know, it's just cool to be racing against, you know, such a high caliber of drivers. You know, you look at the top 10. Geez, how am I going to try and break into this? Really good fun racing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're absolutely right about that competitiveness. You know, you're one of the leading drivers in the World GT Championship, and of course, kind of struggling to get top 10s. It's have you ever been part of a series with or league championship with quite this level of opposition?
In single seaters, definitely not. You know, it really is crazy. You know, you're testing, you do some testing, and you think, oh, okay, I can maybe find a few more temps here and there. And then you jump in, you see the other guys, and they're like half a second road, and you Christ, how am I going to find this time? But the really good thing about the Dallara Formula 3 car is you can go to the extremes with the downforce setting. People run different things. It's interesting to see what they do. Always learning something new when we go racing. So plenty learned to try and take that into next week, and hopefully be a bit closer to the front.
Definitely. We saw a lot of drivers with issues out there with the rear end and kind of understeering off the circuit. Was there anything with the car you were particularly struggling with?
Yeah, I think within our own camp we were just struggling with the front end a bit. Maybe that was down to the track conditions. The second race was quite hot. We're still saying everyone's fairly rookie to this, but we're not very much a single seater team, so it's a big learning curve, but we're happy to take the challenge on and hopefully improve ourselves as race drivers.
Absolutely, of course, that'll be useful for all your other series. Before we let you go, Christian, any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yep, first of all to yourself, another fantastic stream. I'm sure most of us enjoy to look back at the racing later. You know, we only see it from our perspective, so it's cool to see how you cover it. Secondly, to the series sponsors, Immortal, Social Proof, and also to everyone at CQR.
Thanks, Christian. And will we see you tomorrow or Monday?
Definitely Monday.
Monday, cool. So I think that pretty much rounds us out for this evening. But as we've already talked about, Tyler, Interlagos next, and this championship is just going to be fascinating when it gets there. It's another slipstream circuit, as you said, a bit like Spa. And I think that race 2 in particular with the reverse grid is going to be super action-packed.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with Interlagos, it's going to be real interesting to see how this all plays out as well, especially with setup differences. We'll more than likely will see a lot of low downforce packages. At the same time, too, we could also see medium and high downforce packages for drivers that feel a little bit more confident in the middle half of the track, where it's all of the tighter corners, and then just hope that they're around another driver that they can take the slipstream with as they go through the long straights. So going to be very interesting to see how that all factors in next week, so I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it'll be absolutely great fun. That, of course, will be the same time next week. And then I think the week after that we'll actually be taking a break for the World F3 Championship. I think it's 3 races and then a break. Not quite sure. We'll check over that. Of course, tomorrow we've got the Sim Racers World GT Championship, and also at the same time we'll have the BSR Radical Series. That is the 4th to final round, I believe, at Imola. A lot at stake there. And on Saturday will be the return of the Euro V8 Supercar Series going to Le Mans, which will be fantastic. That will be an endurance race, so you do not want to miss that one. And then on Sunday, we'll have the Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship. Monday will be the return of the World GT Championship, and also the Masters, and also the Rickmutech Sports Car Series. Tuesday, the Masters again. And then, of course, on Wednesday, we'll have the Le Mans Series and the return of the World F3 Championship from Interlagos. But for now, from me, from Sam, and from Tyler as well, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you next time.